Welcome everybody to StraightUp Solar's webinar on the top 3 solar battery incentives for 2026. So I'm joined by Aaron Bugg, who leads our StraightUp Solar residential sales team. And Aaron has really done it all over 8 years. He started here on the roof, moved to project development in terms of making proposals, residential proposals to our customers, became our customer care manager while he was the first line in talking to customers who are interested in going solar and starting their solar journey. And now he's our sales director. Aaron is a NABCEP PV associate. And again, I am the Director of Business Development and Marketing. I've been proud to be here at StraightUp Solar for 7 years, just 1 year less than Aaron. I also serve on the Missouri Solar Energy Industries Association and also hold a NABCEP PV associate certification here. I'll tell you a little background about StraightUp Solar. We are now celebrating our 20th. Today's topics are going to be battery for self-reliance. We're going to talk about the Illinois battery incentives, talk about the Tesla Powerwall 3 rebate, and a Q&A session. Now I can give a little background about StraightUp Solar. So we're now celebrating our 20th anniversary. We were founded in 2006 by an orthopedic surgeon who still owns the company, Dr. Dane Glick. And Dane was very much interested in bringing the notion of caring beyond his medical practice into the community, especially when he was doing his residency down in Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky, and he was noticing the coal mining, what it was doing to his patients, the air quality, and what it was actually doing with the mountaintop removal, what it was doing to the environment. So he got into solar energy as a solution. When he finished his residency, he moved up here to St. Louis. He did put a solar installation on his house. His neighbors thought that was pretty cool and asked if they could do it for them. Before he knew it, that one solar array has grown now to 3,300 installations over the 20 years. We do residential, commercial, and industrial, battery storage, which we're going to talk about tonight, smart panels, where you can adjust the circuits in your house, electric vehicle charging, and then we take care of all our systems that we install with service and maintenance. In addition to, if you didn't install with us, we can do service and maintenance with you. So we're considered a turnkey developer engineering procurement and construction firm, an EPC installer, and we can do projects up to 5 megawatts, which is a pretty good size system. We have 100 employees. 45% have that NABCEP certification, which is a North American Board of Clean Energy Professionals. It's kind of the gold standard for knowledge in the industry. And again, Aaron and I are proud to be PV associates, and we have people who have PV design experience, PV solar installer, a lot of different levels here in the company with NABCEP certification. So whenever you talk to somebody in solar, ask them if they have a NABCEP certification. Even though we're a small company here in St. Louis with 100 employees with offices in Bloomington and in Marion, Illinois, we're part of the broader Amicus Solar Cooperative, which is 90 companies all across the United States with similar backgrounds, similar values as us, and allows us to do group purchasing to make sure that we can get a really good price for our customers. And we also share best practices and advocate for solar policy. Altogether, the Amicus Solar Cooperative would be the 8th largest solar company in the United States. And just finally, we're really proud to be recertified last year as a certified B Corporation, joining the likes of Patagonia and Ben & Jerry's and Method Soap, to making sure that we are aligned with our values, that we're putting people and planet at the forefront of all our decisions, and making sure that we're a sustainable company here. You go to the next one, Aaron. And so tonight, I want to make sure that every interaction you have with a StraightUp Solar employee, that we are expressing our clear values. And I want you to hold us accountable tonight and in all interactions for our clear values: care for the community, lead the energy transition, educate everyone, advocate with purpose, respect people and planet, and embody excellence. Tonight, we're going to hit on 2 of those values. Hopefully, you'll walk away educated about battery storage, and we hope it's an excellent presentation here. If not, again, please hold us accountable and tell us how we're doing here. So I'll turn it over to Aaron Bugg, who will lead us off with the benefits of energy storage.
Hi, everybody. Aaron Bugg here, Sales Director at StraightUp Solar. I'm really excited to tell you all about all of the benefits of battery storage for solar. All right, so whenever you're wondering, is battery storage going to be right for me? Here's some things to consider. If you want to be able to better control the cost of your electricity on your power bill, if you want some security, some energy security whenever your neighborhood loses power. It's going to be great for you. If you want to improve your solar savings in this new utility net metering landscape, and just for a quick definition, net metering means how the utility company credits your bill for your excess solar production that's being sent off to the grid. That can be improved with batteries. And if you want to take advantage of these really good battery rebates that we have right now, one of them is from Ameren, another one's from ComEd. And if you don't want to deal with a noisy generator, you don't want to worry about all the fuel hassle with generators, you don't want to worry about how expensive it is to set up your generator and maintenance it, and how expensive your gas bill is going to be, or your cost of propane or anything like that over the years from using a generator. And if you don't want to have to be subject to the crazy cost volatility of using any kind of diesel, gas, natural gas, propane for having backup power from generators. Batteries can help you avoid that and really make your backup power work better for you. So some basic benefits and just kind of like basic information about solar and batteries. So your solar needs the grid to operate safely. If you have only solar without a battery, when the power goes out, your solar won't work, which is kind of like some important information, because there's a common misconception that if you just have solar, well, you're just going to have backup power when the grid goes down. That's not the case. And the main reason is for safety. So if you had solar and no battery, and your solar were still operating whenever your neighborhood loses power, what would happen is the solar power would still be sending that excess energy onto the grid lines. And that would be a hazard for the utility workers while they're repairing these lines. So as standard practice for a solar only system, when the neighborhood loses power, your solar also shuts off. So that way the linemen are protected whenever they fix the lines, and it's not sending that extra power off onto those lines, which would be an electrical hazard for them. But that's where batteries come into play, and you can change that. So you can still have your solar function for you if you have a battery, because that keeps you isolated from those grid lines whenever the power goes out in the neighborhood, and your power stays on in your house. And there's more benefits than that too, though. Your battery will give you the ability to use stored extra solar power day to day, such as whenever the sun goes down. If you had some extra solar production in the middle of the day, whenever your panels are generating a lot of power, it's more than your home needed at that time, you could be capturing that in your battery and then use it at night to further your solar benefit, and increase the benefits of that cost reduction on your electric bill. And these batteries are low to no maintenance, and they certainly have no accruing fuel cost over the years like a generator would have. And just generally, there's other ways it can improve your electric bill savings, such as I've already mentioned some ways, but also if you at your home are on a hourly rate plan rather than just a seasonal rate plan, which these hourly rate plans are becoming more common. Sometimes in the day or at night, the electricity cost from the utility company is really expensive whenever there's a lot of demand on the grid from all the homes using power. You can program your battery to offset that. So that way it's storing power at smart times, and then it's letting you use it at smart times whenever the utility power is expensive, and you can avoid those really expensive time of use costs. So this is kind of a simple graph demonstrating how a solar only system is going to work with excess production from your solar system compared to the new feature you can unlock by having a battery too. So over on the left, you can see a pretty common graph here. When it's the middle of the day and your solar is getting a lot of sunshine and it's making a lot of power, it can oftentimes be producing more than what your home needs at that time. So normally that would just be going off to the grid, and then the utility company is going to give you a little bit of compensation at the end of the month for that. Or if you've got a battery, you could be saving up all that extra power and have better savings and have also that backup power when you need it later in the day by then discharging that battery at night to be able to use it whenever the sun's down and you're using more power. Like we've already mentioned, there are a lot of incentives right now, which everyone should be excited to take advantage of. So as far as federal incentives go, right now businesses can still utilize the federal investment tax credit. This is the kind of the baseline credit is worth 30% of your solar and battery system cost. So that's all in. That's the labor, the materials, installation, everything. There's no maximum to that credit. There's no ceiling. Whatever your system costs, if you're a business owner, you can use a tax credit worth that 30%. The 30% tax credit is going to last until 2033. And then there's like a step down period where the following year it's going to be worth 22%, the next year 15%. Then after that, it goes away. So there's a pretty long run time for specifically the battery tax credit is what I'm talking about here. So that's another advantage too, is that the solar phase out for businesses for the tax credit is happening sooner, but with the battery, it's going to be extended. And then there's additional tax credits that some businesses can be eligible for, depending on where they're located. So if it's located in what's designated by the federal government as a community that is economically or environmentally disadvantaged, there are two separate 10% tax credits for those two categories. And then I'll pause there and point out that it's not like an either or. These can be stackable. So that means you might meet the qualification just for the 30% baseline tax credit. And then if you're in one of these communities, or if you are in a community that's designated as both of those types of disadvantaged communities, you could get one extra 10% tax credit, or a second one, meaning you could get a 30, 40, or even 50% tax credit out of this. There's also a depreciating asset tax credit, which is state by state. That could be an additional credit on top of that 50% that I just mentioned. So all those add up to be a huge incentive advantage with solar and batteries. And like we always say, check with your tax professional about what your business qualifies for. Any tax professional can, explain these tax laws and how your business is eligible for them and walk you through that. So in Illinois, there's even more incentives on top of that federal incentive. So in Illinois, there's a renewable energy goal of 40% on the Illinois grid by 2030. And the state is really working toward hitting that goal. And these incentives are helping drive that. So there's an SREC incentive, which is a solar renewable energy credit. The funding from the SREC comes from major utility companies being Ameren, Illinois, and ComEd. What's happening is there's a small fee on every business or homeowner's bill that funds this credit. So everyone, if you're with Ameren, Illinois, or ComEd, you've already been paying into that. So why not reap the benefits of it? And the SRECs are a cash incentive. So it's not just a tax credit for your tax liability like the federal incentive. It is an actual cash payout. And it's based on what your system is estimated to produce in clean energy over the course of several years. And then you receive that SREC payment either in periodic payments, or sometimes in a part of it is paid out in one big upfront payment to you. And that just kind of varies based on the size of your system and so on. In addition to that, there is a smart inverter rebate if you're with Ameren or ComEd. That's worth $300 per kilowatt of your inverter rating, which the inverter is a kind of a central part of a solar system. It's one of the main components. That's for residential systems. For businesses, it's worth $250 per kilowatt of the inverter rating. In addition to that, there's a battery rebate that has the same value alignment there. So $300 per kilowatt hour of the battery storage capacity, or $250 per kilowatt hour of the storage rating for businesses. So just to put that into simple terms, the smart inverter rebate is worth thousands of dollars per inverter. The battery rebate is worth thousands of dollars per battery. Those also come to you as checks. And one clarifying point about the SREC, I mentioned that Ameren and ComEd customers are paying into that fund. But luckily with the SRECs, any home or business owner in Illinois who is with any utility, municipality, or co-op can use the SREC, which is really nice. Now, again, just to specify, the smart inverter rebate and the battery rebate, those two are exclusive to Ameren, Illinois, and ComEd. Okay, so I'll go over some basics about the Tesla Powerwall 3 next, just because that's one of the most common batteries because of just a lot of its features and its price point and so on. So over here on the left, we have some Powerwall basics. The Powerwall is one of the oldest batteries in the game. And because of that, they have top-notch engineering and kind of like cutting-edge technology. So proven track record. And then by comparison, we do also offer two other options if you want to explore those instead of just a Tesla Powerwall. We have the Enphase IQ battery. Enphase is a company that also produces those inverters that I mentioned. So since they're also an inverter company, if you get that Enphase battery with an Enphase inverter system, those pair really well together. You have everything included in one app for all of your features. And also Enphase just has a good track record for durability too. And speaking of durability, they have great resiliency because they have some redundancies. So they're kind of modular even within each of these batteries. So if one of the parts in the battery fails, the battery still continues to work, which is pretty cool. Then we have a newer option that we have brought on within the last couple of years, which is a big up and coming company called Franklin Whole Home, or FranklinWH, as it's abbreviated. It is also strong technology. It has pretty good storage capacity, pretty comparable to Tesla. And what's nice is, like Tesla, it is compatible with any type of solar system, so any inverter brand. Enphase is the only one that is inverter specific, so you would need to pair that battery with an Enphase system if you went with the Enphase battery. All right, so more about the Powerwall 3. One Powerwall 3 battery has about 13.5 kilowatt hours of storage capacity, which kilowatt hours, in simple terms, is kind of a metric for power that your home uses, power that your system produces, and in this case, power that your battery can store in each one of these batteries. That 13.5, that's on the high end of a single battery storage capacity for across all brands. It has 11.5 kilowatts of continuous backup power. And what that means simply is that it's very robust, and each of these can power pretty significant appliances in your house. It has a very good advantage in the fact that it's either AC or DC coupled, and that means that sometimes you'll want to AC couple it for the advantages of having the kilowatts of continuous backup power increase as you scale up your battery system, if you do 2, 3, or 4 of them. So that can help you power those really demanding appliances in your house better, like your furnace or a sump pump or something like that. Or it can be DC coupled, which in that case, the advantage of DC coupled is that usually there's a price advantage because the battery can also act as like the battery and the inverter all in one with the Powerwall, which is also pretty rare in today's battery market, meaning fewer parts, so a lower cost installation, and a little bit more efficient in how it operates when it's like that. It can be mounted on the floor against the wall or just elevated on the wall, both indoor and outdoor. They are very, very durable in the Midwest for outdoor installation, which is nice because that can be a less expensive way to install it. If you were to install this by your meter on the side of your house or on the back of your house, they're very well weatherized. They also have amazing features such as like a cooling mechanism in them if it's hot in the summer, or a warming mechanism if it's really cold outside in the winter. So that way it's still going to operate efficiently, and it will last a long time, even whenever it's outdoors. So you can combine up to 4 Powerwalls together per what's called a gateway. It's one of the parts of the whole Tesla battery system, which is pretty common. Most homes will just need one of those gateways and up to 4 Powerwalls to really take care of their backup power needs. You could get a second gateway and then do another round of anywhere from 1 to 4 batteries on that second gateway as well. And we can certainly quote that for you if you'd like. So if you stacked 4 of these together, that'd be 54 kilowatt hours of backup power, which is a pretty significant runtime for your backup power. The warranty for the Powerwall is 10 years and unlimited cycles. And like what I always tell people is, like with most warranties with any other appliance you've got, that's a safe bet by the manufacturer. You can expect it to run or to last longer in most cases. But if you do have any kind of maintenance needs from any kind of like part that needs to be replaced or repaired or whatever, you are covered within 10 years, which is really nice. So you'll see the cost range is a pretty wide range, and that's because, again, like I said, uh, a common home might want anywhere from 1 to 4 batteries. What's great is, unlike most solar companies, our company, our sales team works with our engineers on the front end, so that way we can listen to like what your goals are and what your budget is, and we can help design the best battery system to match that. Whereas with a lot of other companies, they'll just tell you, "Oh yeah, just go with this. It's cheap option. It'll do all these things you want." But then, unfortunately, you find out later once their engineers at that company get their hands on it, it's not going to meet your expectations, and they're going to deliver some bad news later. We want to set good expectations and then deliver on that from the start. So again, reach out to us for a quote. Our sales rep, what we call a project developer, will work with you, um, hear what your budget is and what your needs are, and then they'll work with our engineers to design and quote the right system for you. And important thing to point out is that all homes are different. So if you don't use very much power, maybe like a one Powerwall solution is right for you, maybe two. If your home uses more power, maybe it's more like 3 or 4 is what you want. And the price range in that 1 to 4 range is anywhere from $15,000 before rebates, and in the case of businesses, the tax credit, upwards of around $45,000 again before rebates, or with businesses the tax credit. Okay, so some more like bonus features that are really nice. With the Powerwall 3, if you get that option that I mentioned, which is a battery and inverter all in one box, that is going to be generally more efficient. That's an option. As with any battery, there's seamless backup, which is a big difference between a battery and a generator. So for those of you who have a generator or know someone who has one, you'll know that when the power goes out, your power will also go out for a minute at your house, and there'll be a little flickering, and the lights and appliances will go off, and then the generator kicks in and it all comes back on. Most people who own a battery don't even know their neighborhood lost power, because seriously, your lights never flicker, your appliances never stop. It immediately kicks on. And so we'll talk to people all the time after a power outage in the area, check and see how their battery's doing. And they didn't even realize their neighborhood lost power. It was in the middle of the day or something, because it's that seamless. There are time-based controls in the Powerwall app, and that can help you take advantage of those extra savings that I mentioned. So you can program it to automatically store some of that extra power from the middle of the day and use it at night. It can also be programmed to store some of that extra power and then discharge it whenever your utility prices are really high, if you're on an hourly rate plan with some utilities around here. And you can also manually change those things. You can tell it when to charge up and when to discharge and things like that. This is all in the Tesla app, and it is a very user-friendly app. And it also gives you performance stats, tells you how it's operating, how it's been charging and discharging power, and so on, which is really cool. Also, there's a storm watch feature, which means that if you have that feature turned on, it watches weather data and weather forecasts, and it will automatically charge itself up to a certain amount and be prepared for the power to go out if that storm rolls through and knocks the power out in your neighborhood. So that's really cool too. Um, There's an additional rebate on top of all those other rebates I've already mentioned, which is for just for Powerwalls, and it's from Tesla. So it's called the Tesla Next Million Powerwall Rebate. It's a discount of up to $1,000 on a Powerwall 3 or one of the Powerwall 3 expansion units, which those expansion units, think of it as like another battery you can add on for low cost if you're doing that DC coupled option that I mentioned, where your first one is the battery and the inverter all in one. So that's a huge rebate that can stack up too. And there's also a rebate for $500 per Powerwall, up to $1,000 for like the older models. And then the order deadline for that rebate is March 31st of this year. So it's coming up really fast. Like, please reach out for a quote, help us, help you take advantage of it. There's an installation deadline along with that as well, of September 30th of this year. And the reward will come to you as a Visa reward card, is how they pay out that rebate. And we are a certified Powerwall installer, meaning our crews have been trained. We know how to properly take care of these, and our service team, which we have in-house, knows how to maintenance them properly. So we're going to do a good job. We're going to do quality work, and you're going to be happy with it. Same goes for Enphase and Franklin. Those two battery options, we're also certified by those manufacturers as well.
Great. Thanks, Aaron, for that overview of the top three incentives for battery storage here. We have 4 questions in the chat. Thank you, Lee, Charles, and Brian. And feel free, anybody else, to drop your questions in the chat. We'll address some of the incentive questions first, and then we have some technical questions. Again, we have Emily Sigmund, our battery specialist, who can drop in the chat if we can't address things orally here. Lee asks, if you already have solar, can you take advantage of the corporate 30% savings on adding a battery?
Yes. Yeah. What's nice is that with the battery tax credit, it can be utilized for a battery add-on to an existing system for businesses, or you can use it entirely with one solar plus battery installation.
We have a question from Charles. I guess there are no residual incentives or credits in Missouri. What's the status on rebates in Missouri, Aaron?
So there's only the federal tax credit for businesses in Missouri. At this time, there are no additional rebates or incentives in Missouri for batteries, but we're still selling and installing a good number of them in Missouri, because, of course, as a lot of us know, especially who live in St. Louis County, when storms roll through, we've got trees all over our neighborhoods, all around our power lines. Power goes out here more often than in most places, and people really like having it for the peace of mind for the backup power. And hourly rates are still are becoming more common with Ameren, Missouri. Like my home, I'm in St. Louis County, it's on an hourly plan. So with a battery, like I said, you can still improve your electric bill savings and help kind of like levelize your electric bill with those advantages of the battery too.
I'm going to go over a question, then orally say Emily's answer, and then Aaron, you can tag on to it. The question was from Brian. Do you have any batteries you talked about offer an option for bidirectional charging? I know the Franklin advertises it, but the Ford Lightning, it seems, relies on the 240 volt outlet, which is not available on all models. And Emily answered in the chat. Both Franklin and Enphase 10C batteries are compatible with bidirectional charging. Tesla is also set up for bidirectional charging, but only with Tesla vehicles. regarding her Solar Edge inverter. He had another question about his Solar Edge inverter. StraightUp Solar recommends an AC coupled battery, either a Tesla or Franklin, and your Solar Edge optimizers will work with a Solar Edge inverter here. So, Aaron, I think it's fair to say that we can work with almost any type of combination of inverters and batteries and kind of work with you to make sure they can match up correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's so great about the fact that we offer 3 different battery options, is that gives us so much more flexibility to work with any existing solar and inverter option you've got, and also then kind of like customize that design for you, like in addition to that.
We have a question. Let's see. Make sure. Oh, Lee asked another question. If you already have one of your solar install, if we already have an installation with StraightUp Solar and decide to install a Powerwall, can you incorporate a V2 level EV charger to add battery capacity?
Sorry, my audio cut out a little bit. Could you repeat that one, Eric?
So one of our, this is from Lee. He said, we already have an installation with StraightUp Solar. And if they decide to install a Powerwall, can you incorporate a level 2 EV charger to add battery capacity?
As in like, I'm guessing that means like, in this question, charging from the car to the home. At this time, we don't offer that, mostly because, utilities sometimes don't have the clearest rules, or they have some, restrictions around that at this time. So we haven't really gotten into that yet ourselves. But in the near future, we do definitely expect to incorporate some like car to home backup power.
But just to clarify, right now, if you had a battery, you could use that battery kind of as the overall saving storage. And then when you charge your EV battery, you can maybe tap into that battery storage.
Right. Yeah. So you certainly can. Yeah, you can use a battery to charge your car, and you can do that day to day, just with those features that I mentioned, all that flexibility. Or when the power's out, you could do the same. The one thing I would say is that, for instance, like a single electric car battery is about the size, like storage capacity of a Powerwall. So obviously that means you would be draining the battery pretty fast if you were to, completely charge your car to 100%. But if you just need it to top it off, or just get enough charge to get to work or whatever you need to do, yeah, people do that all the time. It works great.
And then Emily added in the chat, Emily added the Enphase 10C battery will require an Enphase EV charger to be vehicle to grid compatible here. So thanks, Emily, for dropping that in the chat. We have a question from Elaine. We have solar installed by, lost it here. Hold on a second. I'll repeat again. Elaine's question was, we have solar installed by StraightUp many years ago. Do we need a new inverter to add batteries?
It always depends, and our sales team is pretty well educated by our engineers, and then we can also tag them in for some extra help. Oftentimes, you don't need an additional inverter to add batteries. The only time where it might happen is when if you wanted to add more solar along with that battery to your existing solar system, then sometimes in those cases you would need to include another battery. But there are plenty of circumstances where you don't need to add another inverter to add a battery to it.
Gotcha. We've had a couple of questions regarding, we did a lot of focus on the Powerwall 3, and that was primarily because of the rebate that expires next month. But Aaron, could you give them a little more in depth on kind of some of the advantages of the Enphase? And Emily, feel free to write in the chat too. Some of the benefits of the Enphase 10C, a little more in depth, and a little more in depth on the Franklin Whole Home, and kind of maybe how you rank, not rank, but some of the pros and cons of all three.
Yeah, sure. So a little more info about the Enphase. I've covered most of the advantages up front about that one. I think I'll tell you what we hear from our customers who get it. They like having one app, that's the one Enphase app for their solar and for their battery all together. It's nice, it's convenient, makes the features just work. They're really like harmonized in that way. Enphase is also just an excellent company when it comes to, like I said, durability. Uh, like their inverters, their batteries have a very low failure rate or maintenance rate um, compared to other brands. For instance, like the Enphase inverter, what we've heard from our service team when they kind of like analyze this stuff is that the maintenance rate is uh, the lowest maintenance rate. I mean, nearly zero maintenance needs for those Enphase inverters over, the majority of the lifetime of a system, and their batteries are the same way. They also really prioritize customer service, which is cool. So Enphase actually has a relatively new feature where um, they are proactively reaching out to customers when there's inverter or battery issues, which is incredible. I mean, think about that. What appliance do you have in your house? Like, imagine if your furnace went out or something, and your HVAC company called you while you're at work and told you that happened and they booked an appointment to fix it. We don't have anything like that. Enphase does that with their products, which is really cool. Um, and then they also are pretty quick to get repairs done. They'll reach out to us as well. And just to clarify, at our company, we get these notifications for any solar system when there's issues, and we do our best to proactively reach out to customers too. That's a huge StraightUp Solar advantage. Very few, maybe no other companies in the region will do that extra service for you. Now, as far as Franklin goes, they're really starting to take over a big part of the market, and that's because they are a little bit higher capacity per battery, which is great. One Franklin battery is 15 kilowatt hours versus Tesla, which is 13.5. So you get a little more bang for your buck. They also, another feature we hear from customers that they really like is that they integrate really well with generators. So some people like that extra, redundancy with their energy security. They know how our grid is aging. They know how storms are getting worse every year, and they're like, I want to back up to my backup for my home power. And there's a way with Tesla and Enphase to, make those like coexist well. But Franklin does the best job of making it the most flexible uh, kind of ecosystem for your backup power if you have a generator and a battery. So a lot of people like that too.
Speaking of going back to Enphase again, and you mentioned the size of the Franklin at 15 kWh. What's the size of the Enphase storage, and how does it kind of rank to cost compared to what we showed on the Tesla?
Sure. So of the three brands, Enphase is generally, if you're comparing like apples to apples, your total battery system storage, it's the most expensive of the three. Um, but what's nice is, if you don't use much power and you want just to back up a few basic things in your house, like some lights, outlets, just enough to get you by, and like the fridge and stuff like that, um, you could do a single in-phase 10 kilowatt hour battery system. So that is what one of their batteries is rated for. Like I mentioned, Tesla's 13 and a half, Franklin's 15. So a single one does have less capacity, but it also means, it's less expensive. And like with Enphase or Franklin, it's modular in the sense that you could add multiple batteries to make a higher capacity system for your overall system for your house.
Yeah, I think Enphase has the option of maybe smaller add-ons than the other products. I'm not mistaken. Like
Yeah, they do still have like some like their previous model of the 5 kilowatt hour option. So that's right. You can do like a 10 and a 5. Now they are kind of slowly phasing out that 5, and 10 will be their new standard. So that won't be for long, but for now, yeah, that's part of it too.
And then we only offer those three batteries, right? We had a question if we offered or have any experience installing the Anchor E10 batteries.
We don't have any experience installing those, but again, we're like a just really forward-thinking company. So we have three options now. We're exploring. It's too early to say what brand or brands. We're exploring a potential fourth option that would be like still a quality product, but like the uh, like lowest cost, best budget option as something to use as well. Especially, someone made the point earlier of, are there any battery incentives in Missouri? Well, no, and that's why we're looking for that, like I said, budget option to where you won't even miss the tax credit if you want to buy one of those. And so just stay tuned for that. Hopefully we will settle on an option and announce that soon. And just generally, we're always considering like what's our best menu? Are we covering every common need in the market? And are we could we offer something new and better?
We talked about the SRECs for solar power. Is there anything for a battery SREC that Illinois offers? And
not exactly an SREC, but there is one more incentive that's coming soon that involves batteries, which is not happening yet, but should be happening in the later half of this year. And for Ameren, Illinois, and for ComEd, there will soon be what's called a virtual power plant program, meaning if you get that, if you sign up for that, if you reserve like a little bit of your battery capacity for the utility to utilize to send some extra power to the grid whenever there's high demand, they'll credit you for that. And then they kind of pay that out at the end of every year. And for homeowners, it's like it's like 100, maybe a couple hundred extra dollars a year, but over it really adds up over a 25, 30 year or more, long system. Now for businesses, that virtual power plant is a huge advantage. I mean, it can be thousands of dollars a year, just depending on the size of your battery system.
I think we're going to do another webinar later in the year once that virtual power plant program gets up and running. You can really explain the financial benefits and how it all works. We had another question from Brian about home generators and battery backup. So can you also talk about some of the benefits of integrating a generator with a battery system?
Yeah. So again, when people do that, they're looking for usually like either redundancy, like I mentioned, just having a backup to their backup, and a longer backup power time. So if you went with a pretty common generator setup where you were plugged into or you were powered by a natural gas line running to your house, then so long as the natural gas grid is still running, it's just going to keep running and running and running. Whereas, of course, your battery needs some time to recharge if it's completely depleted. That's another reason people sometimes want to go that route along with their battery. I will say, just as a caution, again, with generators, if you're powering it by natural gas, if you have to use it for a while, whenever your power goes out in a month, your next gas bill will be pretty high because there's a reason our houses aren't entirely powered by gas, right? It's like electricity is much cheaper for powering the entire home. I know with some appliances, it's more efficient and a little bit cheaper and so on, like your furnace or whatever. But when you're running your whole home on just gas, it's expensive. So something to consider.
We had a question from Elaine. I dropped in the quote if you're interested in a quote or getting in touch with us regarding batteries for your home. Elaine, just to answer your question here, if you send us your address, we can look up what you installed with us, your system components, and give you advice on what would be the best battery integration. So I dropped in the quote. You can fill out that form, or you can email Aaron directly. There's his email, aaron.bug@straightupsolar.com. I know there's a lot of chatting on the chat with Emily Sigmund. Emily's email is similar. It's Emily, EMILY.Sigmund, SIGMUND, @straightupsolar.com. Or you could fill out any of our contact forms at straightupsolar.com, and we'll make sure we get back to you. And again, we have all your records. We kind of know your production a little bit if we were following, because we have a 10-year performance guarantee. So in many cases, we know how your system has been operating if you installed with us, and we'd be very knowledgeable in making sure that we have the right battery for the right inverters, and then obviously talking to you about what loads.
Yeah, and I'll tack onto that. Like, it's another advantage of going with StraightUp Solar. So there are some other good local companies like us around, but there are also there are more fly-by-night companies or startups that aren't as well positioned as us. And solar companies come and go so often. The turnover rate in Illinois and Missouri both is crazy. So when you go with us for your solar, and if you want to add a battery later, um, or if you go with us with solar and a battery now and you want to add on to that later, we're in it for the long haul. We've been around for 20 years. We're going to just be around for another 20 or more, and just ongoing. And we're very well organized, which not all companies can say that. So we're very good at record keeping. So when people call us, if they're a past customer and they want to add a battery or they want to add more solar in a battery, we can go to your records right away. Our project developer can look over that, and if when they need to, they can meet with our engineer, and they know exactly what they're getting into, and they can help you design your system and customize it for you really quick.
Great. Well, I think, Aaron, you did an excellent job answering the questions on the screen. Emily, I want to thank you for being our battery specialist and a technical expertise on the chat. Again, thank you all for hanging in there and joining us tonight to talk about battery storage. You feel free to ask any questions after this webinar, either contacting Aaron Bug or filling out our contact form here on our website at straightupsolar.com. All those comments flow directly to me, and we can match them up to your system and get you all the information here. So with that, I want to thank our sales director, Aaron Bug, for his time tonight and joining us. He was not joining us from San Francisco. I just want to make clear about that. He's actually in Maplewood, Missouri, but he always dreams of hanging out on the Golden Gate Bridge. So thanks, Aaron, for your time. Thank you, Emily, for answering all the questions on the chat. And with that, I'll conclude tonight's webinar, and everybody have a great evening. Good night, everybody.